Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Zelensky tries to revive peace talks in Turkey as the death toll in Russia's western Ukraine drone and missile strike climbs to 25. At least 2 NATO members scramble fighter jets. The release of all Epstien files now awaits the sign-off from US President Donald Trump after both the House of Representatives and the Senate passed bills to make them public. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates the South India Natural Farming Summit in Coimbatore, says natural farming is the demand of the 21st century. And legendary player Roger Federer is set to be inducted in the International Tennis Hall of Fame next year. The Swiss star calls it a tremendous honor. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the South India Natural Farming Summit 2025 in Coimbatore. South India Natural Farming Summit aims to promote sustainable, eco-friendly and chemical-free agricultural practices and to accelerate the shift towards natural and regenerative farming as a viable, climate-smart and economically sustainable model for India's agricultural future. During the program, the Prime Minister released the 21st installment of PM Kisan of more than 18,000 crore Indian rupees to support 90 million farmers across the country.
नेचुरल खेती हमें क्लाइमेट चेंज, मौसम में हो रहे बदलाव का सामना करने में मदद करती है। ये हमारी मिट्टी की सेहत को स्वस्थ रख सकती है और इससे लोगों को नुकसान करने वाले केमिकल से भी बचाया जा सकता है। आज का ये आयोजन इसी दिशा में एक बहुत बड़ी भूमिका निभाने जा रहा है। नेचुरल फार्मिंग के साथ हम अगर श्री अन्न, मिलेट्स की पैदावार जोड़ते हैं तो ये भी धरती मां की रक्षा में अहम भूमिका निभाते हैं।
The Prime Minister also visited an exhibition and engaged with the farmers. The summit also focuses on creating market linkages for farmer-producer organizations and rural entrepreneurs while showcasing innovations in organic inputs, agro-processing, eco-friendly packaging and indigenous technologies. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal on Wednesday visited the Defence Pavilion at the International Trade Fair. On the occasion, the minister said that the country is moving towards self-reliance in the defence sector. He congratulated Prime Minister Modi for transforming India into a defence exporter in just 10 years under his leadership. He also urged the youth of the country to focus on innovation.
डिफेंस के शस्त्र भारत में बन रहे हैं और हमारे काबिल अफसर, काबिल इंजीनियर्स, काबिल साइंटिस्ट, इनोवेटर्स के काम को मैं साधुवाद देता हूं और प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में जैसे 10 वर्षों में भारत एक डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट इंपोर्टर के बदले डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट एक्सपोर्टर बना है, उसके लिए प्रधानमंत्री जी को बधाई देता हूं।
The National Investigation Agency or the NIA has arrested Anmol Bishnoi, brother and close aide of jailed gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, following his deportation from the United States to India. Absconding since 2022, Anmol is the 19th accused to be arrested in connection with the Bishnoi-led terror syndicate. He was charge sheeted by the NIA in March 2023 after extensive investigations. Anmol, who was detained in the US in November last year, is wanted in several high-profile cases including the murder of NCP politician Baba Siddiqui, the April 2024 firing at actor Salman Khan's residence and the killing of Punjabi singer Sidhu Moosewala. He was removed from the US on Tuesday and taken into custody upon arrival in India. Following his deportation, Anmol was produced before a court in New Delhi. An Indian government-funded institute has joined hands with a private company to commercialize India's indigenous genome editing platform. The collaboration aims to advance affordable gene therapies, especially for sickle cell disease, offering a major boost for affected tribals and strengthening the country's leadership in equitable genomic medicine. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya reports.
India is taking a major leap in genomic medicine. The CSIR, Institute of Genomics and Integrative Biology, has signed a landmark collaboration with the Serum Institute of India for the transfer and commercialization of ENFN-Cas9, a high-fidelity Indian-engineered CRISPR genome editing platform. This breakthrough partnership unlocks new possibilities for treating some of India's most challenging genetic diseases. Among them, sickle cell disease, a condition that disproportionately impacts tribal communities across central and eastern India. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh lauded the efforts of CSIR IGIB in addressing the sickle cell anemia.
It's a huge stride for India. Not limited only to this institute, not limited only to CSIR, not only limited to the field of medicine or the sickle cell anemia, it's overall, because it's the first of its kind indigenous initiative or a success story emanating from the soil of India. And that too much cost effective compared to the other options available.
With this collaboration, India is set to develop scalable, affordable and indigenous gene editing therapies, bringing the world-class precision medicine closer to the people who need it most.
So it's a huge breakthrough that India has made in the world of genetic therapeutics. Since it is emanating from India, since it is emanating during the commemoration of Birsa Munda and also dedicated to the community that was primarily affected by this disorder, it's been also named as Birsa 101 therapy.
CSIR IGIB based in New Delhi has long been at the cutting edge of India's genomic revolution, and with Serum Institute, this platform now moves from laboratory to large-scale real-world deployment. Tapas Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar inaugurated the Consulates General of India in Yekaterinburg and Kazan, marking a significant step in strengthening bilateral relations between India and Russia. The inauguration ceremony was attended by Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Andrei Rudenko, Indian Ambassador to Russia Vinay Kumar, and senior representatives from Sverdlovsk and Tatarstan regions. Speaking at the event, Dr. Jaishankar emphasized that the opening of these consulates will further strengthen technological, scientific, economic and trade collaboration between India and Russia.
The opening of the consulate will give impetus to enable and to strengthen the technological, scientific, economic and trade collaboration between Indian and Russian industries. Kazan is one of the most visited cities in Russia. I've had the pleasure of going there myself, after Moscow and St. Petersburg, and with good reason. The region is a multicultural and multi-ethnic hub and acts as a bridge between Russia and the rest of Asia. The consulate will help strengthen people-to-people ties by encouraging cross-cultural exchanges and high-tech participation. Kazan is well known for its oil production and refining, for fertilizers, automobiles, defense manufacturing, pharmaceuticals and electrical equipment. I'm confident that with the opening of the two new consulates, there will be a further strengthening of India-Russia ties, and this will surely mark a new phase in our relationship.
The External Affairs Minister also interacted with members of the Indian community and friends of India in Moscow. He expressed his appreciation for the warmth and support of the diaspora. In Bangladesh, 6 dengue patients died and 788 were hospitalized in the past 24 hours, bringing the total number of deaths from the mosquito-borne disease this year to 349. Bangladesh is facing one of its most severe dengue outbreaks in recent years. With the latest figures, the total number of reported cases in 2025 have climbed to around 87,000. According to public health officials, erratic weather patterns and poor urban waste management have fueled a surge in Aedes mosquito breeding, worsening the crisis. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. The alert level for Indonesia's Java island raised to the highest level as its tallest Semeru volcano erupts. And the 300 kg emerald rock discovered at Madagascar's presidential palace in capital Antananarivo.
This week on Defence Dynamics, we unpack the post-Operation Sindoor shift in India's internal security dynamics. We spotlight DRDO's new AI-powered underwater system transforming the mine warfare. We examine the Army's latest upgrade in war missiles for T-90 fleet and track Indonesia's interest in BrahMos boosting India's export reach. Catch the complete breakdown this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, tensions between Russia and Ukraine have surged overnight as fresh strikes, power cuts and military responses have rippled across the region. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Wednesday that a Russian attack overnight on Ternopil in western Ukraine, the death toll in it has climbed to 25 apart from injuring dozens. Also in Kharkiv in the east, 32 people were injured and large fires also broke out, while explosions were also reported in Lviv. Authorities imposed emergency power cuts across several regions in response to the widespread damage. And Russia also said its air defenses shot down 4 US-made ATACMS missiles fired by Ukraine at Voronezh with debris damaging buildings as Moscow claimed retaliatory strikes on Ukrainian launch sites. And with all this happening, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Turkey as part of an attempt to revive talks with Russia on how to end the conflict in Ukraine. Zelensky is set to hold talks in Turkey on Wednesday and meet US Army officials in Kyiv on Thursday in a new drive to revive peace negotiations with Russia. The Kremlin, however, said that Russia would not be sending anyone to Turkey. Meanwhile, NATO members Romania and Poland scrambled fighter jets on Wednesday when a drone breached their airspace during a Russian attack on Ukrainian infrastructure near the border. Now, British Defence Minister John Healey on Wednesday warned that military options are prepared should the Russian spy ship Yantar pose a threat after the vessel reportedly directed lasers as British pilots monitoring its movement. Healey termed the laser incident deeply dangerous, adding that the UK is ready to respond based on Yantar's next actions. The government, he said, would take all necessary steps to protect British personnel and maritime security.
Russian spy ship, the Yantar, is on the edge of UK waters north of Scotland, having entered the UK's wider waters over the last few weeks. This is a vessel designed for gathering intelligence and mapping our undersea cables. We deployed a Royal Navy frigate and RAF P-8 planes to monitor and track this vessel's every move, during which the Yantar directed lasers at our pilots. That Russian action is deeply dangerous, and this is the second time this year that this ship, the Yantar, has deployed to UK waters. So my message to Russia and to Putin is this: we see you, we know what you're doing, and if the Yantar travels south this week, we are ready.
Now, the White House has said that US President Donald Trump will sign the bill as soon as it arrives on the president's desk, which would mandate the release of investigative files on Jeffrey Epstien. The Trump administration has been pushing for weeks to delay or block a vote in the Congress. Despite those efforts, the measure is still set to reach the president's desk as early as Wednesday. Lawmakers in the US House of Representatives and the Senate approved a bill with only one no vote to compel the Trump Justice Department to release a trove of files from investigations into convicted late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The Epstein Transparency Act passed the House of Representatives on Tuesday by a vote of 427 to 1, sending a resolution requiring the release of all unclassified records on Epstein to the Senate for consideration. The Senate passed the bill before it even officially received it from the House and then adjourned. This means the bill will officially pass Congress on Wednesday. The Justice Department then has 30 days to release all files related to Epstein and his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. And Trump has also announced the formal designation of Saudi Arabia as a major non-NATO ally during a White House gala dinner with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The US and Saudi Arabia signed agreements on arms sales, including F-35 fighter jets and a civil nuclear energy cooperation agreement. Trump said the US would sell F-35 stealth fighter jets to Saudi Arabia.
We're going to have a deal. They're going to purchase F-35s. They're buying them from Lockheed, and it's a great plane. We make, by the way, the best military equipment. You saw that during the Iran little skirmish. We make the best planes, the best missiles. We make the best offensive missiles. We make the best military equipment in the world. Nice.
And in turn, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman pledged to increase Saudi investments in the US by $1 trillion. Trump defended the Crown Prince, saying he knew nothing about the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, contradicting US intelligence assessments. The Crown Prince denied ordering the operation but acknowledged responsibility as the kingdom's de facto ruler. Let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the world as well. A South Korean passenger ferry carrying 267 passengers and crew was stranded on Wednesday after running aground off the southwestern tip of the Korean peninsula. The 26,000-ton ferry was traveling from Jeju Island to Mokpo. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung ordered a swift rescue of all on board to prevent any casualties. Indonesia's Semeru volcano erupted on Wednesday. The volcano spewed ash clouds as high as 2 kilometers above the mountain's peak. Semeru has nearly 130 active volcanoes and is closely monitored because of the risks it poses to nearby communities, transport routes and aviation. The alert level has been put at its highest. Madagascar's military leadership announced on Tuesday the discovery of a large emerald rock at the presidential palace in Antananarivo, pledging to handle the national treasure with complete transparency. President Mikhail Randrianirina said officials found the emerald, 300 kgs of it, upon arrival at Ambohitsorohitra Palace, though the circumstances of how it came to be there remain unclear. Okay, now with the German economy stagnating and even larger companies losing market share to China and other global players, companies across the country are trying to reinvent themselves. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and is joining me from Berlin to talk about it. Good evening, Lars. What can you tell us about these companies? What can they do to stay in business?
Thanks for having me. Well, they can adapt, sometimes change what they're selling, sometimes change who they're selling to. And especially that last one we can currently see with lots of mid-sized German companies moving into the defense sector. The German Association for Security and Defense Companies has seen its corporate membership nearly double over the past year, with more than 200 companies joining the group. That's companies from all sorts of industries that all have one thing in common. They never worked in defense before, but they're trying to get into the sector. There's a very simple reason for that too. Orders are down in many other sectors. Business is slow. Many companies work way below their capacity. Meanwhile, the German government is almost doubling its defense budget, and so is the European Union. Now, looking at Germany in particular, Berlin is likely to spend 170 billion euros annually on defense in the next years. And while 80% of these funds will likely go to the big three, the tank and weapons specialists Rheinmetall and KNDS, as well as Airbus Defense, those companies are working with literally tens of thousands of smaller suppliers. And that's an interesting field for many companies.
All right, that sounds interesting. And last, do these companies fear any form of backlash or any other negative reaction?
Not really. Most of them, of course, have to look at their bottom line and at the jobs they're providing, and certainly don't want to cut due to economically hard times. However, sometimes the decision to go into defense is not an easy one. One CEO said that it was one thing for him to see his parts go into cars, but an entirely different thing knowing that your product will be used in weapons systems. So that particular company thought about the switch long and hard. They even ran it by their employees, and in the end they did agree that while the company's founding papers, sort of a moral code that the company gave itself decades ago, that while these papers stated that the company would never work for the military, that these papers needed to be adapted. The company, like indeed many in Germany, was founded with World War II still on everybody's mind, and many founders at the time did not want to have anything to do with defense. But today, with Russia's war in Ukraine and with US President Trump questioning the purpose of NATO, many did eventually find that the world's changed and that they too have to do their part to not wage war, but in fact help stand up for Western values and for peace, especially since it's also paying off financially.
Okay, let's hope it works out. Thanks for joining us, Lars Holter from Berlin. Sports and England have included pace bowler Mark Wood in a 12-member squad for the first Ashes Test against Australia at Perth. Wood, cleared of a hamstring injury last week, returns to Test action after more than a year, having last played in August 2024. Spinner Shoaib Bashir is also in the squad despite recent struggles, and Ollie Pope has secured the number 3 batting spot ahead of Jacob Bethel. England have not won a first Ashes Test in Australia in nearly 40 years, nor beaten the hosts in Perth since 1978. The first Test starts on Friday. Legendary player Roger Federer will be inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame next year. The induction celebration is set for August 2026 in Newport City in the US. Federer is the first male player to win 20 Grand Slams and clinch 103 career titles before retiring in 2022. He held the world #1 ranking for a record 237 weeks straight between 2004 and 2008. Federer said in a statement, and I quote, "It's a tremendous honor to be inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame and to stand alongside so many of the game's great champions. To be recognized in this way by the sport and by my peers is deeply humbling." End quote. HCL Foundation, in collaboration with the Paralympic Committee of India, honored para-athletes who have brought glory to the nation on international platforms. As part of its Sports for Change initiative, the foundation presented specialized sports equipment to the medal-winning athletes. Paralympic Committee of India President Devendra Jhajharia praised the initiative, calling it a vital step in empowering athletes.
इनको बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ HCL फाउंडेशन को कि इन्होंने ग्रास रूट पे डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम के तहत इन्होंने जो हमारे पैरा खिलाड़ियों को हेल्प की है, और हमारा ये आज ही की हेल्प नहीं है। आपने सुना होगा HCL फाउंडेशन ने कहा है कि हम लॉन्ग टर्म प्लान बनाएंगे ताकि एक खिलाड़ी को 4-5 साल हेल्प मिलती है तो अपने हाईएस्ट परफॉर्मेंस वो दे पाता है।
HCL Foundation Director Nidhi Pundir lauded the dedication and perseverance of para-athletes, expressing confidence that future Olympic champions will emerge from among them.
पैरा स्पोर्ट्स एक ऐसा विषय है जो काफ़ी साइंटिफिक है अपने आप में। आपको समझना पड़ता है कि नीड्स क्या हैं, एक स्पेशल नीड्स कैटेगरी में आ जाता है। तो HCL फाउंडेशन ने अपने स्पोर्ट्स फॉर चेंज कार्यक्रम के माध्यम से एक स्पेशल हमने कैटेगरी बनाई है जिसमें हम लोग काफ़ी रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, प्लेयर्स को ढूंढ रहे हैं जो इंटरेस्टेड हैं, यंग टैलेंट को भी ढूंढ रहे हैं जो अलग अलग स्पोर्ट्स में जिनको ट्रेन किया जा सकता है। लगभग भारत के सभी प्रदेशों में हम लोग काम करते हैं। मोर देन 22 स्टेट्स में हमारी टीम फैली हुई है जो ग्रास रूट लेवल से आइडेंटिफाई करती है कि किस प्लेयर को या प्लेयर किस स्पोर्ट में खेलना भी चाहता है, क्योंकि शुरू में उनको ये भी नहीं पता होता है।
Indian shooters continue their impressive run at the Deaf Olympics in Tokyo. In the 10-meter air pistol mixed team event, Pranjali Prashant Dhumal and Abhinav Deswal defeated Chinese Taipei to win the gold medal, while Kushagra Singh Rajwat won the bronze medal in the 50-meter rifle prone men's event. In athletics, Indian athletes worked hard to reach the finals but failed to secure a medal. With the latest additions, India's medal tally has now reached 11. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.